Welcome back. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of British coinage, and specifically, the 2 shilling coin, also known as the florin. These coins were once a staple of everyday transactions in the United Kingdom, but over the years, certain dates, mint marks, and conditions have made some examples highly sought after by collectors. In this video, we'll break down the top 6 most valuable UK 2 shilling coins, covering their history, unique features, condition grades, and what makes them command such strong prices at auction. Let's get started. First up, the United Kingdom 2 shilling coin from 1959 in very fine condition. While at first glance this coin might appear as just another mid-20th century issue, its condition, historical context, and collector demand play a key role in determining its actual market value today. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just its background, but also how collectors approach coins like this, what makes them appealing, and what kind of prices they can command at auctions in the United States and beyond. The 2 shilling coin, also commonly known as a florin, has a long and interesting place in British coinage. It was first introduced in 1849 under Queen Victoria as part of an experiment in decimalisation, being valued at 1/10 of a pound. By the mid-20th century, when the 1959 version was issued, it was still in everyday circulation. The coin of this year bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as 1959 falls within the early years of her reign. At the time, the United Kingdom was still using pre-decimal currency, and the 2 shilling coin was an essential denomination for commerce, often used in shops, transport fares, and daily transactions. It wasn't until 1971 that decimalisation replaced the old system, but coins like the 1959 florin remained in use up until that changeover. The 1959 2 shilling coin is distinctive for several reasons. On the obverse, it features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, which is celebrated for its elegance and simplicity. The Queen is depicted uncrowned, facing right, with the Latin legend Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina. On the reverse, the coin carries the Tudor rose at the centre, flanked by a thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbolising England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales respectively. Surrounding the design is the denomination 2 shillings and the year 1959. The coin is composed of cupro-nickel, which replaced silver in 1947, making it more durable for circulation but also less valuable in terms of metal content. Its diameter is 28.5 mm, and its weight is 11.3 grams, giving it a solid and substantial feel in hand. When it comes to rarity, the 1959 2 shilling is not among the scarcest coins ever minted. Millions were produced, and they were commonly used in circulation. However, condition is everything in numismatics. A heavily worn or damaged coin will have very little appeal to collectors, often being worth only its face value or a small premium. In very fine condition, however, the coin maintains a lot of its original detail. You can clearly see the features of Queen Elizabeth's portrait, as well as the intricate floral symbols on the reverse. Even so, collectors do not usually consider the 1959 florin exceptionally rare, but coins in higher grades such as uncirculated or proof can attract much greater attention. Damaged examples, such as those with heavy scratches, bends, or corrosion, are often disregarded in the collector market and may only sell for pocket change, but they can still be educational pieces for new hobbyists. So, what is this coin worth today? In very fine condition, the 1959 2 shilling coin typically trades for around $434,000 in online markets and small auctions. If the coin is closer to extremely fine or uncirculated, values may climb into the $114,000 range, particularly for examples with sharp detail and minimal wear. Rarely, coins that are graded by professional services and preserved in mint state condition can attract values above $124,000 from collectors seeking to complete an Elizabeth II pre-decimal coin set. At large auctions, the 1959 florin in very fine condition doesn't tend to fetch premium prices, but its steady demand comes from hobbyists building date runs of 2 shillings. Compared to truly rare British coins that can sell for thousands, the 1959 florin is modest in value, but still a charming and collectible piece of numismatic history. If you're interested in collecting this coin, there are a few important tips to keep in mind. First, always focus on condition. A coin in very fine condition is decent, but collectors will pay more for examples in extremely fine or uncirculated grades. Second, Consider building a complete set of Queen Elizabeth II florins, covering all the years issued between 1953 and 1970 before decimalization. This not only adds value to your collection, but also gives you a broader historical perspective. Third, beware of cleaning coins. Polishing or attempting to restore shine can actually reduce a coin's value. Lastly, if you find a 1959 florin in circulation or in an old coin jar, it can be a great entry point into British numismatics, as it is affordable yet historically significant. The United Kingdom 2 shilling coin of 1959 may not be a high-value rarity, but it carries a wealth of history, artistry, and cultural significance. In very fine condition, it holds modest value, usually in the low single digits of US dollars, but it remains an appealing collectible for anyone interested in pre-decimal British coinage. For beginners, it is an accessible and affordable piece, while for seasoned collectors, it is an important part of completing a mid-20th century British set. Whether you're collecting for value, for history, or for personal enjoyment, the 1959 florin has its place in the story of coin collecting. Next up, the United Kingdom 2 shilling coin from 1967 in fine condition. While many might think of this coin as common pocket change of the past, collectors know there's always more to the story, especially when it comes to condition, history, and auction value. So, let's explore what makes the 1967 2 shilling coin interesting, and whether it holds any real value for today's collectors. The 2 shilling coin, also known as a florin, has a long history dating back to 1849. It was originally introduced as part of an early step towards decimalization, with its value set at 1/10 of a pound. By the time of the 1967 issue, the coin featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, who had already been reigning for over a decade. The 1967 2 shilling was one of the last of its type to circulate before the great shift to the decimal system in 1971, when the florin was eventually replaced by the 10-pence coin. This makes it a nostalgic piece of pre-decimal British currency. The obverse of the coin shows Arnold Machin's portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the tiara of the girls of Great Britain and Ireland. The reverse features the familiar Tudor rose design, surrounded by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, symbols representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The legend around the edge reads FID Def 2 Shillings 1967, standing for Fide Defensor, or Defender of the Faith. Struck in cupronickel, the coin weighs 11.3 grams and measures 28.5 millimeters in diameter, giving it a solid and durable presence. Now, when it comes to rarity, the 1967 2 shilling is not particularly scarce. In fact, it was one of the most heavily minted years for the florin, produced in large numbers for circulation. Because of this, it is considered a common date among collectors. In damaged or heavily worn condition, these coins have little to no collectible premium, as they can still be found quite easily. However, coins in fine condition or better do maintain some appeal, particularly for those who are building full-year sets of pre-decimal coins or simply enjoy the nostalgic design. So, what is a 1967 2 shilling coin in fine condition worth on today's market? Generally speaking, in fine condition, the coin might sell for around $421,000, depending on the buyer's interest. Coins in higher grades such as extremely fine or uncirculated can fetch more, sometimes around $325,000 at small auctions or online marketplaces. However, the real value for this coin lies more in its historical and sentimental significance rather than its monetary worth. Bulk sales of these coins often go to beginner collectors or people who love pre-decimal currency. If you're interested in collecting the 1967 2 shilling, my advice is to focus on condition. While fine condition coins are affordable, try to seek out uncirculated examples, as these are far more desirable to serious collectors. Buying from reputable dealers or auction houses is also wise, as it ensures authenticity and allows you to find higher grade specimens. Another tip is to collect a complete run of 2 shillings from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, as this creates a much more interesting set than holding a single year in conclusion. While the 1967 United Kingdom 2 shilling coin in fine condition is not rare, it remains a fascinating piece of British history. Its value on the auction market may be modest, but it carries a charm that appeals to both beginner and seasoned collectors. Whether you're collecting for investment or for the love of history, the 2 shilling serves as a reminder of the nation's transition from old currency to the decimal system. Next up, the United Kingdom 2 shilling coin, or florin, dated 1958, in very fine condition. At first glance, this coin may appear to be an ordinary piece of pre-decimal British currency, but for collectors and history enthusiasts, it carries both cultural and numismatic significance. In this video, we'll dive into its history, unique features, rarity, and auction market value in US dollars. The 2 shilling coin, often referred to as the florin, has an important place in British coinage history. It was originally introduced in 1849 as part of a bold experiment to test public opinion toward decimalisation, with its value being 1/10 of a pound. By 1958, the coin had become a staple of British daily life, struck under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. This was only a few years after her ascension to the throne in 1952, so the coin represents the early years of her long reign. The 1958 2 shilling remained in circulation until 1971, when the United Kingdom officially transitioned to the decimal system. The 1958 2 shilling coin features the laureate portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by Mary Gillick. This youthful depiction of the monarch is cherished by collectors because it represents the optimism and new beginnings of post-war Britain. On the reverse, the coin displays a Tudor rose at its centre, flanked by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, symbolising the unity of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The edge is milled, and the coin is composed of cupronickel, as silver content had been removed from British circulating coinage in 1947. Measuring 28.5 mm in diameter and weighing 11.3 grams, the 1958 2 shilling has a solid, traditional feel. Now, you may wonder, is the 1958 2 shilling a rare coin? The truth is that it was struck in relatively high numbers, so it is not among the rarest florins. However, its appeal lies in condition and historical context. Many coins from this period were heavily circulated, leading to scratches, wear, or damage. Even in such damaged condition, collectors often purchase them for completion of year sets or for their historical significance. That means even a coin in poor shape still attracts demand, though prices will naturally be lower than for better preserved examples. When it comes to valuation, condition is key. A 1958 2 shilling in very fine condition, meaning it shows moderate wear but still retains sharp detail, is typically valued between $421,000 in today's market. In higher grades, such as extremely fine or uncirculated, values can climb higher, reaching around $113,000. At auctions, prices can fluctuate depending on collector interest, rarity of the year in specific grades, and whether the coin is part of a complete set. While the 1958 florin won't make you rich, it remains a solid, affordable entry point into British coin collecting. For collectors seeking this coin, always pay close attention to condition. Look for examples with clear portrait details of Queen Elizabeth II, strong lettering around the edges, and minimal scratches on the reverse design. It's also a good idea to buy from reputable dealers or auction houses to ensure authenticity. If you're a beginner, collecting by date sets of pre-decimal coins is an enjoyable way to build knowledge and appreciation for British numismatics. And remember, even coins of modest value, like the 1958 2 shilling, can become more desirable over time as they age and fewer well-preserved examples remain in circulation. In conclusion, the 1958 United Kingdom 2 shilling coin may not be the rarest gem in the numismatic world, but it is a historically significant and affordable collectible that captures the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. With its beautiful design, symbolic meaning, and steady collector demand, it holds a special place in coin history. Whether you're just starting your collection or adding depth to an existing one, the 1958 florin in very fine condition is a coin worth considering. Next up, the United Kingdom 2 shilling coin from the year 1956. We'll specifically discuss its value in very fine condition, its historical context, and what makes it special among other shillings. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of its rarity, collector demand, and current auction market value in US dollars. The 2 shilling coin, also known as a florin, was first introduced in 1849 as part of a gradual movement toward decimalisation. By 1956, the United Kingdom was still using the pre-decimal system, where 2 shillings equaled 1/10 of a pound sterling. The 1956 issue bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as this was only a few years into her reign following the death of King George VI in 1952. These coins were struck in cupronickel, as the silver content had been removed after 1946. Even though millions were minted for circulation, each date and condition tells its own story and affects how collectors view them today. The 1956 2-shilling coin features the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by sculptor Mary Gillick. This youthful depiction of the Queen is highly admired by collectors for its simplicity and elegance. On the reverse, the coin carries the Tudor rose flanked by a thistle, a shamrock, and Elix symbols representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The legend around the coin reads FID Def 2 Shillings 1956, affirming its denomination and year. Its diameter is 28.5 millimeters, and it weighs around 11.3 grams, making it a sturdy and recognizable piece of mid-20th century coinage. While the 1956 2-shilling is not among the scarcest dates of this series, condition plays a massive role in its collectability. Coins in very fine condition, like the one we are discussing, show moderate wear but still retain clear details of the Queen's portrait and the floral reverse design. However, heavily damaged coins, those with scratches, corrosion, or extreme wear, are usually of little to no value. Collectors generally avoid such examples unless they are seeking a filler coin to complete a date run. The demand, therefore, rises significantly for coins that remain in well-preserved states, as they offer both aesthetic and historical appeal. So, how much is a 1956 United Kingdom 2-shilling coin worth today in very fine condition? In the collector market, such a coin typically ranges from about $531,000 depending on the exact preservation and buyer interest. Higher grade coins, such as extremely fine or uncirculated examples, can bring in higher prices, often between $325,000 at auctions or reputable dealers. Damaged or heavily circulated coins, however, may only fetch around $116,000, as their numismatic value is significantly diminished. While not the rarest coin in the series, its value is steadily maintained due to interest in early Elizabeth II issues. If you're planning to add a 1956 2-shilling coin to your collection, here are a few tips. First, always pay close attention to the condition. Coins in better states of preservation tend to appreciate more in value over time. Second, consider investing in protective storage, such as coin flips or capsules, to prevent further wear or corrosion. Third, when buying or selling, make sure to use reputable dealers or auction platforms to avoid counterfeits or misrepresented coins. Finally, if you're building a collection of British pre-decimal coinage, look out for other key dates in the series, as some years command higher premiums than others. In conclusion, the United Kingdom 2-shilling coin from 1956 in very fine condition is a beautiful example of mid-20th century British coinage. While not exceedingly rare, it still holds collector interest, particularly for those who enjoy early Queen Elizabeth II issues. With values ranging from just a few dollars to over 10 for higher grades, it represents both history and affordability for coin enthusiasts. If you've got one tucked away, it's worth taking a second look. You might just be holding a small but meaningful piece of British numismatic history. Next up, the United Kingdom 2-shilling coin from the year 1963, specifically in excellent condition. While often overlooked by casual observers, coins like this one tell an important story of history, craftsmanship, and changing economies. In this video, we will examine its historical background, unique features, and rarity, even when found in damaged condition, before moving on to its current auction market value in US dollars. Finally, we'll provide some useful tips for collectors who may be considering adding this coin to their collection. The 2-shilling coin, also known as a florin, has deep roots in British monetary history. Introduced in 1849, the florin was designed as a step toward decimalisation, since its value of 2 shillings equaled 1/10 of a pound. By 1963, the 2-shilling had become a standard coin in circulation, used daily by millions across the country. The coin issued in this year bears the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II during the early part of her reign, a design that marked the beginning of modern British coinage. This particular piece came just 7 years before the UK's transition to a decimal currency system in 1971, making it part of the last era of traditional pre-decimal coins. The 1963 2-shilling coin carries the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This youthful image of the Queen, without a crown, became one of the most iconic portrayals of her reign and remained on coinage throughout the 1950s and early 1960s. The obverse side features this elegant bust surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. On the reverse side, designed by Edgar Fuller and Cecil Thomas, you'll find a striking Tudor rose encircled by thistles, shamrocks, and leek symbols representing the unity of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. This design, rich with symbolism, reflects the identity of the United Kingdom as a whole. The coin was struck in cupra-nickel, a durable alloy introduced in 1947 when silver was withdrawn from circulation coins. Its diameter measures 28.5 millimeters, and it weighs around 11.3 grams, giving it a solid feel that collectors appreciate. When it comes to rarity, the 1963 2 shilling is not considered one of the scarcest dates in the florin series. Millions were minted for circulation, meaning examples are still widely available today. However, the true distinction lies in condition. Circulated and heavily worn pieces, especially those damaged or scratched, tend to have little collector demand, often being worth no more than their base value. Yet, interestingly, even damaged coins sometimes find a market among new collectors who simply want a date-setter florins or those who value them as historical keepsakes. The real appeal, however, comes when the coin is found in excellent or even uncirculated condition. In such states, the details of the Queen's portrait and the floral emblems on the reverse remain crisp and sharp, making the coin significantly more attractive to serious numismatists. Now, let's discuss the market value of this coin in excellent condition. In average circulated states, a 1963 2 shilling is typically worth around $326,000 in the collector market, largely due to its availability. However, in excellent condition with minimal wear, original luster, and sharp details, its value rises substantially. Collectors may pay anywhere from $214,000 for a high-grade example, with particularly pristine coins fetching upwards of $20 at auction. On the rare occasion that an uncirculated or proof-like coin appears, it can command even higher prices, sometimes exceeding $30 or more, depending on the auction setting and collector interest at the time. While not considered a high-value rarity compared to other pre-decimal coins, the 1963 florin holds steady demand due to its historical significance and the appeal of the Gillick portrait. For those looking to collect this coin, there are several tips worth keeping in mind. First, pay close attention to condition. Coins in excellent or near uncirculated states will always hold more value and will be easier to resell in the future. Look for sharp detail in the Queen's hair and facial features, as well as strong definition in the rose and surrounding emblems on the reverse. Avoid heavily damaged examples unless you are building a basic starter collection. Second, store your coins properly in protective holders or albums to prevent tarnishing or scratches, as condition plays a huge role in long-term value. Third, be sure to keep an eye on reputable auction houses and online marketplaces, as prices can fluctuate depending on collector demand. Finally, remember that completing a date run of Queen Elizabeth II florins can be a rewarding way to build a meaningful collection that represents a significant period in British numismatic history. In conclusion, the 1963 United Kingdom 2 shilling coin is a fascinating piece of history, representing the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II and the last phase of pre-decimal British coinage. While not exceedingly rare in general circulation, its true value lies in excellent preserved condition, where crisp details and original surfaces make it highly desirable to collectors. With values ranging from modest sums in average condition to $20 or more for top-grade examples, this coin remains a worthy addition to any collection. Whether you are a new collector just beginning your journey or an experienced numismatist, the 1963 2 shilling coin offers both historical charm and enduring collector interest. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on rare and valuable coins from around the world.